Pitch to Pro is the official podcast of Ozark United FC.
This will be our platform to tell our story about the club and the special place that we call home, Northwest Arkansas. This is a journey. We want to bring you along for the ride. We'll share what's going on behind the curtain, help educate the community at large about soccer, our league, and give updates on the progress of the club along the way. Together, we'll explore and unpack our journey to professional soccer, the magic that is NWA, our community, and talk all things soccer from on the pitch to behind the scenes, telling the story of our club. Pitch to Pro podcast is proudly sponsored by podcastvideos.com. Podcastvideos.com is Northwest Arkansas's premier podcast recording studio. Equipped with industry-leading equipment, the recording studio and services save you time, money, and hassle. They are dedicated to helping you create, record, and publish high-quality podcasts for your audience. Be sure to check them out today at podcastvideos.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pitch to Pro podcast. I am your host, Wes Harris, Managing Director for Ozark United FC, Northwest Arkansas's professional soccer club playing in the United Soccer League. I am back for round 2 with U.S. soccer legend, Mr. John Harkes, technical director now for McLean Youth Soccer, among jack of all trades as well. But John, welcome back, and thank you for joining me again on Pitch to Pro, man. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure, Wes. Thanks for having me on. It's I'm part of a long line of, it's hard to get on your show. You keep closing the door. I'm glad you opened it today. This is great.
That's awesome. Well, last time, for those that missed it, we talked about John's illustrious playing career, path to pro, and just what the game means to so many different people in different communities and parts of the world. And today, John, we talked a lot about how you found the game in your experience as a player on multiple platforms. Today, I'd like to talk about how you transitioned out from your professional career and how you found yourself and kind of your path to coaching, to start at least, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, it's a great question because, I kind of was, I was very lucky to, fortunate to work in media as well. I did the first MLS kind of highlight show that was sort of like Match of the Day program called MLS Wrap, with Fox TV as soon as I retired. And I kind of got thrown into that really quickly. I was working out in California and traveling back on weekends and red eyes. But I was coaching my kids in the youth club at that time. So it was a lot. And I loved coaching, but talking about the game has always been fun for me. And it brought me, great platforms, and really some great experiences and moments and people that I got to work with and call games with, Ian Dark, JP Delacamera, like all of these, Martin Tyler, I got to work with Martin in the last World Cup, which was amazing. And he and I were partners. And so that stuff, covering the game that way is fun. But the coaching aspect for me has always been the most rewarding. And it's the most humbling, that you can work hard to create opportunities for other people to love the game. And you can find ways to help them through all their adversity, their up and downs, and still find a way that maybe they create a pathway for themselves. There is opportunity there. And I think that's the critical part. And so my coaching aspects, my dad was a coach, and, I always learned a lot from him, and I always wanted to be a coach. And, teaching the game, and, coaches become the best coaches they can be when they remove the ego and they know that they're serving others. And that's the hard challenge for a lot of coaches. And it's a hard challenge for a lot of former players because it's a completely different approach and it's a completely different platform than what they were used to. I've learned from a lot of great coaches and studied the game tremendously. Went and researched it overseas as well. When I retired, I went and worked with Louis van Gaal, who was coaching at the time at AZ Alkmaar. I went to Danny Blind at Ajax, and I coached and watched under him for a while, and Frank Rijkaard when he was at Barcelona back in the day. And I thought, I want to pursue this for sure. And so I did that, on my own. It wasn't like I was part of a program. I did the coaching education licenses early when I first retired as a player and back in 2003. And I got my A license in 2005. 2 years later, they made you wait, which was great. So I felt like, no matter where the game took me, I love coaching. And so whether it was a youth club, and coaching and giving back to the kids in the community, or, finding that level at college or pro. So I guess my first real pro, I coached with the under 20 national team in Holland in the Youth World Cup with Sigi Schmid. God rest his soul, a fantastic person, and what a great coach, what a great manager. I learned so much from him. And from there, it just took off. I would coach New York Red Bulls in MLS with Bruce Arena, legendary coach and, friend and mentor, for sure. Took me on at UVA, coached me at the national team, coached me at DC United. So a lot of, not just winning games, but a lot of really good experiences there. And it just grew from there, and then the more that I was coaching as an assistant at MLS, Bruce and Dave Sarachan and Bob Bradley, coaches like that I've been able to, manage with, and even coaches overseas, Henry Redknapp at West Ham, Ron Atkinson, my first coach at Sheffield Wednesday. They were all telling me, like, if you go into coaching, you gotta go down. You gotta be able to be a head coach yourself, and you gotta suffer. You gotta be able to coach with a frugal budget, and you gotta be able to identify players and put that together and negotiate fees. And so the USL was an incredible platform to do that. And I was given an opportunity at Jake Edwards. Said that FC Cincinnati was looking to get into the USL Championship back in 2015 and 16. So I was able to get that job. And, we finished third in our first year, got to the playoffs and created a great fan base there. And the club marketed so well, and they had a strategic plan in place. And then after I had that experience, I went to Greenville, South Carolina, where Greenville Triumph with Joe Irwin, the ownership group, and was able to kind of get a sporting director job and a head coaching there, built that club up from the ground up. And so, being able to do that, there's a lot of pitfalls there, and you learn along the way, your own mistakes that you make. And it is about, finding yourself and finding your way. That's your journey, through that process. And you learn a lot, and taking on the responsibilities and not just being a manager of people, but you're also like a sporting director. So you're doing the budgets and, the business side of it. And so you have a different responsibility to the club in that way too. And that's really critical, I think, for a lot of guys to have success, a lot of women coaches as well. And, now the game's grown tremendously, and we have the NWSL on the women's side. We have the Super League, the W League, for the women's side and the men's side. And there's so many opportunities for great coaches to come through and learn the game, and former players to stay involved in the game. And I love that. So yeah, that's been a little bit of my coaching journey. Not done, not even close to done. And coaching now at home with McLean, where my daughters grew up in this club. My wife was a soccer executive and a coach herself for 10 years in McLean youth soccer. And I'm a technical director now because of the people that I love working with in there. They're awesome. Louise Waxler has been in the game for a very long time on the women's side, and she's grown the game for both men and women. So many platforms over the year. She's our executive director. And it's you give back to the game in different ways. I came home because of health in my family. My mom has Parkinson's and my mother-in-law has Alzheimer's. And so it kind of hit over the last 2.5 years, and it's been that cognitive decline. And so I'm back home to kind of help my family, my wife, and everybody else take care of that, because family first, critical. But they're all in good spaces now, which they're doing well. And I've kind of got the competitive edge again and the itch to get back out there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, I love that. We'll talk about from your experience, and I mean, you've been around the game on multiple levels and the highest levels of the game, and then coaching. Talk about like people want to know where does USL sit? Like how yeah, it's Division II in the Championship and 3 in League One, but you've got players that are moving up and down between the different levels. You've got US Open Cup where you get to see the different levels compete against each other. And there's definitely some teams that make deep runs that you're not looking at. It's kind of like for anybody I'm trying to explain it to, it's almost like the NCAA tournament where you get those Cinderella runs. And you get, the power schools and all that kind of stuff. But then you get some really talented players in some of these smaller schools that, and if they play as a team, good coaching, the right matchups, anybody on their given day, all those types of stories. But it's drawn out over the year instead of 3 weeks like the tournament is. But anyway, talk about the level of USL and how the growth of the game has allowed those platforms to flourish.
Yeah, I think it was definitely needed, Wes, in order for us to gain respect around the world. It was like, we need to strengthen the pyramid structure in our country, and that is the Division I, Division II, Division III, and so on, both on the men and the women. And so I think the USL gives those opportunities to grow the game in the right way and to strengthen, our development pathways, without a doubt. And you're seeing, like you said, there's a lot of players that perhaps get drafted into the NWSL or Major League Soccer that, maybe they're not ready for at that particular time. So they need a place to play. They need a place to grow and to mature and to fine tune their game. And United Soccer Leagues provide that at the championship level on the USL League One, which started in 2019. And if you think about it, I got flown home probably like 7-8 years ago, back to Sheffield to go to a big anniversary dinner. And I said, yeah, by the way, what is it? And they're like, oh, our 150th year anniversary. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, okay, just a little bit. You guys have been around for a little bit, a hot second. Right. And so it kind of keeps things in perspective of like how young we are as a nation with the game and how far we have to go still. But this United Soccer League, what it provides is that platform for the player that is coming out of the high school or college level, or, had gone overseas or had gone to MLS or had gone to the NWSL, and now they want to play in the W Leagues or the USL or the Super Leagues and things like that. And so it gives them that platform and it allows them to compete and grow. And to me, that is phenomenal. And now, like you said, you mentioned it with the Open Cup, some of the late runs. And God, I remember supporting Mark Briggs in Sacramento Republic when they were going through to the final. And I'm like, Phoenix has done well, Union Omaha, and they had a great run, So you want those to do well and succeed. And it's not like you're bitter, like, why can't it be our team and our club? It's more about like the overarching, representatives of the game itself. That's critical. To be in those conversations. And now you have the Jägermeister Cup, which is huge in USL. Championship's going to play against teams in the in League One. And then maybe eventually we get Pro Rel. Are we talking, Wes, about that maybe one day?
Let's talk about it, sir. I'm a big proponent of it.
Chris Martinovich talked to me about that too, a while back. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's something that would have the world's eyes on us. It'd be fantastic to see that happen in our country. Really would. And I think it's a game changer, without a doubt.
It is. I really do. I do think it will happen. I don't know if it'll be anytime in the near future, but I do think it will happen. I think, and it's no secret, it's been out there. The USL has been talking about it as a test proof of concept, within its own ecosystem, which could be a really interesting prospect as well, because they have the ecosystem at the multiple tiers to do it. And MLS does, they skip the second tier, but they've got it in with MLS Next Pro and then obviously tier 1. But I think to your point, we're still so young. We're still young.
We are young, and we have to take these leaps of faith. We have to take these risks to start leagues. And people are like, oh, a league comes up and then it fails and it comes back up. And then this one starts over here. And there's too many leagues in this country. And that may be true, but we're still the wild, wild west, and we're trying to find ourselves. And that's okay. I think part of it, that structure, when you think back to hey, I'm leaving West Ham United in London, just had our first child, Cindy and I, our son Ian was born in Derby. And then I moved to West Ham to be on loan with them. And then all of a sudden, I'm being talked about coming back home, and I'm having conversations with Tab Ramos. And he's like, Harksey, I'm thinking about going back to Major League Soccer. I said, I didn't even think the league was starting yet. And he's like, yeah, I know. And then, here we are. We just played the 94 World Cup in our own country. And now I'm competing in the Copa America and Uruguay in 95. And there was a league supposed to start in 95, and then it got postponed, and then it might start in 96. And so these are all leaps of faith. And who would have known that we come back and DC United would be the club that it was, and, and compete and win, 5 trophies in the first 3 years, like both domestic and international. And you don't know these things, but you have to take some risks sometimes to make things happen. And that's the same with the USL. The USL is, there's challenges without a doubt. We need more clubs, and certainly USL League One, the third division, is growing and growing. And, who would have thought, to this league would start in 2019, and then 2020 would be COVID, would restrict, shut down everything. And clubs would be like, oh, I can't afford this anymore, but they survived, and a lot of clubs are still continuing on and pushing the game. And you're seeing the growth in the championship as well. And clubs like Ozark United starting up in different areas of the country, which are phenomenal. So, in the Santa Barbaras of the world and everything else. So you're like, let's go, keep doing it. These are the things that we need in our country. We need to work towards something, a goal. And that mission statement is more about, let's serve the community with a great club. And it doesn't matter if you're in MLS or not. Like, you're doing something that, even from an investor standpoint, sure, is it making you tons of money? Probably not. Is the valuation of your club going up? Absolutely, without a doubt. And so you're preparing for the future, right? You're managing that, you're building that. And it truly has to be a community club. If you're not doing it for that reason, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. So, you're going to struggle a lot,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because, we talk about it, and everything that we do, the community is at the center of it, and with them in mind, and this is their club. We're just the stewards. But you've lived it. You've been there, done it, both as a player, a coach, executive in the media. Talk about what in particular, I think it'd be great from your experience within the USL in particular, because I think that those clubs are truly just, almost like the old school, UK grassroots, the way that it still is over there in a lot of ways, very grassroots, just embedded in their community every day, beyond, just the games. Talk about your experience there and what those clubs mean to their communities and the communities to the team.
You mean in the UK or here or everywhere?
Here in the USL. In the USL.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. Because community engagement is critical to the growth of your club, and also for you to be relevant. It's when you show you care. This is what I say to each of my coaching staff every single year. Every time I have a coaching staff, whether it be pro or even the youth game or whatever, it's just like, do not be afraid to show them that you care, and that's critical. Because everybody says it different ways, like, oh, the trust, the buy-in, all that stuff. It is inclusivity. You're letting them know that they are part of your journey too. They matter to you. And every fan that asks for an autograph, don't you dare shake them off or ignore them, because the day that they stop asking for it is when you're in trouble. And that's critical. And so, it's a lifestyle. It's a it's a cultural thing that there's only a few people that really get it. They say it sometimes, but you have to make sure that you're taking care of the people that are coming to your games. It's really important, because then you share the love, and you also share, and the highs that come in the game and those successes, but you also share the losses, and you share together through the growing pains and that adversity that's there too. And when you do that with more people, that's when you get through. That truly is growth, so that becomes your foundation. And when you're all in it together, man, wow, you can't fail. Can't.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it. And you give them value. They are important. Fans are important. People that work on volunteer game day operations are important. Kids that are coming to you and that want to be future coaches or referees, and they're asking you if they can come to training sessions and stand on the sideline. Absolutely. Yeah, that's important. Those type of community engagements are critical. Being a mentor and giving back and growing, helping somebody else grow, if that's part of your journey, that's what you should be doing on Earth. And so if you can do it with soccer, it's the best thing in the world. It's like, wow, thank you, God.
Yeah, exactly. Finding that avenue to make the world a better place through soccer is one of the coolest coming together of purpose and passion that at least I've been super fortunate to be able to experience. So but I love that approach and that take. I mean, I think we'll end on this. What for one of the cool things about Northwest Arkansas and Arkansas as a state is, and it's zero disrespect to the AA ball clubs that are here in baseball, with all due respect, we're going to be a different product in first kind of real professional sports team in Arkansas. And it's going to be with soccer on men's and women's. Yes, that's exciting. Why should, if you're a Northwest Arkansas resident right now, from your lens and your experiences, what can they expect? Why should they be excited about this?
Wow. Well, the number one thing is because it's a positive influence. It's something that's being done for positive change, within your community, within your local town, within your state. It's a go-to experience. And if you do it right and you build the club the right way, that game day experience, wow, that lasts forever. And the families come together, and it's about the families. It's about that experience that they find when they go there, and they're proud to put on your scarf, and they're proud to wear your jersey. And through the losses and through the wins, they support your club, thick and thin, because you're transparent, you're an honest club, and you roll up your sleeves and you have great work ethic, and that's why people want to come see you. They want to support you, right? That's the beautiful game. That's what we all work for.
Beautiful game. I love it. Well, John, thank you so much again, man, for joining me for this episode of Pitch to Pro. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to catch all of our episodes on pitchtopro.com, and look for Pitch to Pro on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts for more content. Until next time, cheers, Northwest Arkansas. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Pitch to Pro podcast. Be sure to tune in again in 2 weeks for the next installment, and check out the Stoppage Time series for a recap of today's episode. Be sure to find us at Pitch to Pro on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Until next time, Northwest Arkansas, cheers.